Hey guys, what is up? We are M.I.Diverse. The podcast, talk show, where we try to stay on subject. We really do, but it's hard. So one thing, happy late Star Wars Day. And what better to talk about, with all the kind of, fandoms and all that stuff. We're making this whole month two episodes because we're going to be a little bit busy this month. We're going to be honest. Uh, two episodes this month. We're going to be talking about fandoms. And to kind of start with, we're going to talk about conventions this week. And boy howdy, I'm pretty sure all three of us have opinions about conventions. Now, John shared me some notes, and John has some notes and some thoughts about conventions. John, can you give us a little bit of an overview about conventions for the lovely people watching at home or listening, if they are?
Sure, I'd like to. I did some research before our episode. I did a little bit of research. So before Comic-Con became a thing, actually Comic-Con was a show that was inspired by a different show before that, which was a Star Trek convention. So
Mm-hmm.
it was Star Trek convention back in the late 60s, early 70s. And then someone had the idea of let's do this for Comic-Con. So basically, for the history of for basically a quick history on Comic-Con, Comic-Con started in the basement of a hotel in California in the year 1970. It was a way for comic collectors and they could get together. And the first show was called Golden State Mini Comic-Con. So that was the
Mm-hmm.
first show ever in the 70s. And it was a huge success. So they just built on top of that. So,
Yeah, it that I mean it kind of makes sense. It kind of starts a little bit with like Star Trek and all that kind of stuff and like the late 60s, all that kind of stuff, just like the little ones. And then, it starts with I mean, you always see like cons in hotels, even nowadays, but to even see like the big leagues Comic Con become start like at the basement of a hotel, and now it's like this huge like enterprise takes up like a whole building. I think that half the time they have to make a whole building basically now because of how the culture goes for it. So I mean it's funny to see. It's like, oh, it starts as one thing, tiny thing, and now it's this huge cultural event did like I think in July. So it's funny. uh,
so my next um point on my notes was what was Comic-Con meant to be seen as? So Comic-Con was really meant to be a space not only for comic collectors, but it was meant to be a place for comic writers and artists. This was a place for everybody who was a comic writer or an artist. They got to meet each other, they got to trade or sell books to each other, and it was really about them. And it was really, and honestly, that's probably the best way of describing what it was meant to be seen as. And,
yeah.
And I feel like the best part about it was that it was niche. It
Mhm.
was this small local, keyword here, local group
Mhm.
where people can easily get together and, like you said, share their art, network, make new friends, that sort of thing.
And that's the type of stuff that you see in like more smaller local cons is you see a lot of artists, a lot of the a lot of artists, just like a lot of people that are either sharing their books, they're even might even be just sharing the concept of their books and or arts. Obviously, there's some other stuff that is like more currently going on with comic conventions that I have my plenty of my opinions on. But I really think, yeah, just the whole vibe of coming to a convention to kind of socialize, talk, trade, buy, all that kind of sort of stuff, just so you have that connection to people. At least for me, when I used to go about like for like a whole decade at least, like I would go to Comic Cons just to, have that like these are my people. These are people that understand me. They get me. So I that's something I really like about conventions in general. Just being able to get out, talk to people in the same fandoms, trade, raid, buy, all that kind of sort of stuff. Of that, that's what I enjoyed in that kind of community for the fandoms and conventions. So, but
The main reason I ever went to any comic conventions, regardless of any reason, was really to see the artist. I really wanted to
mm,
meet the artist people on the artist alley. I mean, that was the real big reason I liked, like probably one of the only big reasons I liked going to Comic-Con was
yeah,
to meet these artists because I felt like, they were really down to earth and I felt like I was
mm,
at the same level in some sort than um than the other part we'll talk about later in the show. And then there's also re with my with what Comic Con was meant to be. There's definitely a show I'm going to definitely mention that's great towards the end of the show when we get to that note. Um, so do we want to get on to my note of what it has become?
I at least want to say,
Hmm.
one thing I do appreciate before what it had become, especially more nowadays, is
Hmm.
I also when I went, there was always the dealer room, the people like selling like old classic, they're selling old classic comics.
Hmm.
They might be selling I'm just spitballing here is like Star Wars stuff from like the 70s or 80s or whatever, just classic stuff. Obviously, they're also selling like more modern stuff. I'll also see like a $400 Hot Toys like up on like a tall display or whatever. But what like there's also meeting the guests, which is crazy. You go from something that started in a basement to now it's like you get like every other actor like is coming to talk about the movie that they're doing in like 4 to 5 months or whatever or something like that. So yeah, I mean that's what I like to go there for. Jenna, do you probably? I assume you probably have a similar opinion or similar
Uh,
like liking of
I
why you went there, like Jen does.
well, that's kind of weird because I only ever went to one
Hmm.
convention in my life, and but that was like maybe 2016 or so. It
Mm.
was a local convention that was in Cleveland, Ohio, and yeah, that was the only one I ever went to, and I really went there was because it's right there, and it's something
Yeah.
I've never done before, and that's what I did.
I just kind of realized. I remember. I don't think it was a 10-year stretch. It was at least from like 2011 or maybe a little bit earlier. I'll say 2010. 2010 to at least 2019 because of COVID and everything and ticket prices and we're just kind of getting the steamball into it because we already started talking about ticket prices. John, you have notes about what's become. Let's get into that because I think we all
Yeah,
kind of have our
let's
opinions about it.
yeah, let's definitely get into the sad part of what it's become.
Yeah.
Um, So I'm going to be reading off my notes again. So as years go on, Comic-Con has been turned into something that's not even the creators themselves wouldn't accept what it has become.
Hmm.
Comic-Con has become a place for celebrity meet and greets, basically celebrity petting zoo, a place for vendors slash scalpers,
Hmm.
and a place where people used to Comic Cons. I've noticed this about Comic Cons. I've noticed this more the more I've gone to those bigger ones like Motor City. Every time I go into the artist alley, there's barely anybody there walking around to in line to go see the artists because everybody's in line for the celebrities.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
noticed that, and it's so sad because it's like these artists, like they literally spent hundreds of dollars to get that table,
Yeah.
and it's literally like the celebrities are just taking all the basically I'm sorry to say this, but
No, no, no.
celebrities
Fine.
have really basically they've intruded into the space of the artists.
Yeah. No,
Intruded. I don't
that's
know if that's the
100
right word
that's
or not, but
Oh
100%
yeah,
right.
yeah, pretty much. Like
they
Infiltrated,
have.
intruding. It's
or more so like conventions have realized that celebrities make more money, and so they just push the artists aside because they didn't see them as profitable.
yeah, but basically that's
One
kind of the
day,
thing.
one day, I have a bet this is going to happen. These artists are going to be, they're going to get their feet pulled under the rug. The rug's going to be pulled right under them because you know what's going to happen one day? They're going to realize that, oh, well, if the artists aren't being profitable, why should we invite them to the show?
Yeah.
And
I was
that's what's going to happen. I feel like that's what's going to happen to most of them because it's like here's the thing. I have a lot of respect for all these artists at Comic Cons. I really have a lot of respect.
Mhm.
But the thing is that pretty soon, hopefully not sooner than now, it's gonna happen that they are gonna be pulled the rug from them. They're gonna lose that space indefinitely.
I I was going to say for kind of a little not really a counter argument, just more because I 100% agree is that these people that run the conventions don't really value the artists nowadays. It's mostly just the celebrities. And I don't want to say celebrity culture is necessarily dying. It's kind of like, celebrity culture and influencer culture are kind of like becoming like intertwined and such. I mean, nowadays you got like people that are like Vine stars from like 10 years ago that are unfortunately big enough that they are part of wrestling events and all that kind of stuff and they go to conventions. So, uh, but that is the frustrating thing is that these conventions don't really value the artists and you have people waiting in line for like a $200 like photo op or whatever. That's one thing. That's one thing I will go on a rant about is you pay $100+ for a ticket possibly, if you're staying the whole weekend. Nowadays I can barely like do a whole weekend. You're paying $100+ a ticket for a weekend. Then they expect you to pay 20 to $50 to just even talk to them for like 2 minutes in an graph, even a selfie if you're lucky. And it is really frustrating because it's like, you come all that way to go meet the person and then they're either at like an event, not an event, but they're at what's the when they get the actor to talk about their show or whatever for like 20, 30 minutes. You know what I mean? Yeah, what's up, Jen?
I'm
Yeah,
and I feel like, and actually going off of a video that John actually sent to us, like behind the scenes, one of the things that stood out was that I don't necessarily think that celebrity meet and greets are bad. It's like I don't mind
no,
panels. Panels are fine because at least you're
That's it.
sitting there for like longer than 2 seconds
Oh
and
yeah.
you're actually listening to them and their stories and what's it like being on set and all that kind of stuff. It's just what annoys me is when not only is it not only is it like very expensive for like a 60-second interaction, which I feel like the
Mm,
price is being set. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like the price is being set by the convention and the
oh, probably.
celebrities just adjust it because
Yeah.
that sounds more like a convention thing that they purposefully price it the way that they
Yeah,
do.
they gouge prices.
Yeah.
Actually, and I do remember, especially when I went to like smaller cons too, of just like meeting these actors. Like they're always really cool people. Getting to meet like I've met Bulk and Skull from Power Rangers. I've met a handful of Power Rangers. I'll say that it was kind of just a part of a fandom I was in. Plenty of voice actors, but I've always had more fun meeting them at their panels or when I would get a VIP badge, I would go to the after party and you'd just be able to like shoot the shit with them for like hours. Actually, before he started doing like Dragon Ball playing Whis almost full time. I actually got to talk to Ian Sinclair like a good amount. He went to the one convention I went to 3 years in a row. I mean, I don't know. There's something funny about but it's still definitely frustrating that you have to basically have a paywall to interact with people. But like, I get it because like sometimes, unfortunately, for some actors, half the time, the con revenue is probably half their revenue. So,
Yeah, and I feel like what makes it worse is that the people who often stand in line are likely those who are not actually interested in their work, almost viewing the meet and greet as an obligatory thing that they think they have to do,
yeah.
which
I mean,
hogs the line even further.
yeah, no, go ahead, John. You were starting something.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, here's the thing. As I've said, there's nothing, I'd like to clarify on my end. I'm not against celebrities having tables to sign stuff for people,
Yeah.
but call it something else then.
Yeah.
Don't call it Comic-Con and then say, oh, well, it's all about the celebrities. And,
Yeah.
I don't mind. I wouldn't mind if, you know what? I wouldn't mind if there was a different event for just for them.
Yeah.
I would be fine with that. I'd be happy with that for them for that. If they just did that on their own. Be like, hey, why don't we start doing a show for them?
Yeah.
Panels and all that. That's for them.
Yeah.
So, and it's also about the price gouging.
Mhm.
Honestly, I used to I don't really do it anymore, but I used to do cons and
Mhm.
Motor City Con is such a freaking scam. You
Yeah.
pay for your ticket,
Mm,
then you got to pay for parking, then you got
hmm.
to pay to meet the celebrity. And if
Yep.
you want to do the cosplay contest, which I have a friend who used to do that,
You have to pay
um,
for that too,
you have
don't
to
you?
pay for the contest, which I'm sorry to say this, if you literally have to freaking pay to be in a contest, that's an effing scam.
And
Especially when
especially like stacking on top, like how much you pay for your costume too.
that too, and how much time you've put into making your thing.
Yeah.
I remember there was a show I did, it was a local show,
Hmm.
and my one friend and this other guy was saying like, "Oh, John, can you please be in the costume contest? Blah blah blah." I didn't make my costume.
Yeah.
This should be for cosplay people making only. Oh, and
Yeah.
also for those people who did not make their costumes who go into these cosplay contests, um, don't waste your time. Don't waste your
I
mother tucking time.
I wholeheartedly agree because I actually was going to make a point about that. Is, I would go to conventions when I would actually do the cosplay contests. There's at least always one person wearing a morph suit. That's usually a guy. It's not wearing a cup up. There's a whole conversation about that. But, a lot of these people that are just like wearing pre-made Party City style like costumes that they didn't make, half the time those people like get a lot more praise than the girl that like spent like several hours in a costume that she'd been like painstakingly like burnt her fingertips off, all that kind of stuff.
Like she
She
actually put the
learns,
work in.
yeah, she learned sewing or
Like she
he
put the
learned
work in.
sewing. I'm just making an example,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's really frustrating because like some of these people have like do it for a full-time hobby, and then some of these people get overshadowed by dudes that probably just bought their stuff from Party City or whatever. I am glad that there are cosplay contests nowadays that are like you have to have actually made it, and if you're doing it on a professional manner, we want to see your process. Show like your portfolio, or not portfolio, but like
The
the
Your
process.
cosplay making book.
yeah, the
Yeah.
process that went into making the costume. Yeah, so
Yeah, like show your work.
it's not like, oh yeah, no, I bought this from a cosplay maker for like X amount of dollars or whatever. I know I'm guilty of buying a costume for myself that costs X amount of dollars, but I know for certain I'm not going to go into a cosplay contest and pretend like I made the thing. I don't
That's
have the
why I
experience
didn't
to make
do
it.
it. That's
Yeah,
exactly why I didn't do it because I'm like, I did not make this thing.
yeah,
I'm not going to go into the contest if I didn't make the thing.
exactly.
Because you take away from everybody who put in the work. So
Hmm.
again, as I've said, don't waste your time. Don't waste
Yeah,
their time either, because you're not going to win a darn thing if they realize you didn't make your thing.
And actually, this just reinforces the point that you mentioned earlier that conventions are no longer prioritizing artists and more so prioritizing
profit,
utilitarian like things.
profit, and that
Profit,
kind of
easy,
Hmm.
easy, cheap profit.
that also segues into something I've seen the last two cons I've been to is the overabundance of 3D printed slop and AI slop. You
Or
know,
Funko Pops.
yeah, and Funko Pops, but
Hmm.
mostly the 3D printed slop and AI slop, because at least like those are made by people in a sense, but like the when you just have like people selling in the dealer's alley hundreds of like shitty they got the file from somebody else. It's like the bendy dragons, all this other kind of stuff. I'll see like a Pokeball. These people that are selling these custom Pokeballs for like $50. It's like, dude, I can print this for like at least like 15. The file is at least like 5. And and then you get all these people. It's just like, you're walking to like your next panel, or you're not walking to another booth, and then you just see like this wall of Gunnar AI anime slop. I'm going to say that phrase because it's true. I'm just trying to chill, and then I see big AI anime titties on the wall. I don't need to see that. Why are you selling that? Sorry. Sorry, being a little bit
Yeah,
aggressive. But
I
people that are watching at home that actually have gone to conventions, you know what I'm talking about. It's annoying.
Honestly, I really hope with what's going on with the whole AI thing and all that, I
Yep,
really hope that if you register for a table, that they start asking for portfolios.
exactly.
They really should start
and
asking for a
actually
portfolio.
and actually I there have been cases where people selling AI art have been taken down by conventions,
Yes,
but it's only after they get caught.
exactly. And that's the
So
thing.
it might get to a point, it might get to a point where conventions just stop caring, unfortunately.
I mean, they probably already stopped caring, but I think like the people that attend the conventions, if they don't stop going outright because of morals or whatever, people just need to keep bitching. Like, I'm sorry to put it that way. People need to keep bitching. If you see AI anime goon slop, or just like AI slop or whatever, a guy doesn't even like post his process. It's just like a fake speed draw on a thing. You know, we need more, just like with cosplay contests, for the artist alley specifically. There needs to be more extra steps to getting into the artist alley without like being like, here's a couple art pieces. No, show me the exact process you went through to make that art piece. Even if it's just like an actual screen recording of you drawing it, rendering it, all that kind of stuff. There's people that do that shit online, line, I'm gonna say online for real, but there's people that do that online, and the process is actually really cool. But if you're just gonna be like showing like 5 AI generated images that you just like typed on your computer or whatever, it's like, no, no, get out of here. You're not a real artist. So I'm sorry for, I'm just saying. I have
I think
plenty of my opinions about that.
I think we are going to probably get to a point where there's just going to be a full-on boycott of conventions, of Comic-Con conventions.
Oh,
There's probably
probably.
just going to be a full-on boycott.
Well, probably, or at least artists are, what I actually still appreciate is artists are going to their making their own events.
Oh yeah, yeah,
They're
yeah.
scheduling their own events. I think the last convention I went to that wasn't like um out selling just a bunch of like slop or whatever was like a big con. Like a medium-sized con was the Saginaw Comic Con, and there was a lot of artists, and that was something I really appreciated. I mean, obviously, you will see.
I mean,
What's up,
yeah.
Johnny? Was it? No, go
I,
ahead.
I sorry, I was just. I mean, of course, with these local conventions, of course, you're gonna find like slop
Hmm.
everywhere. But
Yeah,
most of the time, these people are making really cool things,
yeah,
and that's what you should be looking for.
yeah. You were gonna say something, John? I saw your hand like raise up.
Yeah, I was about to say, I definitely agree. I think that there definitely needs to be a space for
Mm.
artists. Um, which then brings me to my final note, the importance of supporting local small indie Comic-Con shows.
Yes.
Can I?
Yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
Go ahead.
I wanted to say one other thing
Go ahead.
that kind of relates to it was that we need to go back to being niche. We need to go back to being like individual. This is about this one. This we need to go back to individual, like one topic conventions that are just about this one thing, and that's it. It's because this actually goes into a problem overall with trying to mush them all together
Yeah.
into this one overall topic of pop culture. It's like,
Hmm.
no, it's going to cause problems when
Hmm.
you put things together in a broad topic. Of course, like problems are going to emerge. They inevitably emerge when you do things like that.
Yeah, and just having just like this overflow of people that are part of one fandom that really doesn't understand the context or just the nuance of the actual thing that they're watching. You know, you'll this is especially a problem, and it's still unfortunately a problem for the last like several decades, especially in cosplay, is people getting mad that the person that's cosplaying a specific character isn't the same body type, race, gender, all that kind of stuff. You know, it's frustrating. It's frustrating that like we as a people and all these people just like that consume this media don't understand just basic shit, basic shit. You know what I mean? So that's a mini gripe, but yeah, I would like and I would appreciate if there is ways that people can just kind of step back and be like, okay, we still really need. I feel like because of the kind of the pushback a lot of people are having against AI data centers, is that I think a lot of these smaller conventions and hopefully the bigger conventions will see it and be. I don't think that they will, but I'm being optimistic with this. Is
Or
they'll go ahead?
so I think what's going to happen, and this is just hypothesis, I don't
Yeah,
know, is
yeah,
that the local conventions are going to take over. They're going to
yeah.
completely take over,
They're gonna
and
pop
like
off.
they're gonna, and then the overall Comic-Con major conventions, they're either going to turn into Celebrity Con or they're just going to completely fizzle out.
Yeah, I don't think fizzle out necessarily, but I think like they're going to become a lot more corporatized than they already are.
Yeah,
I mean,
that too.
obviously we have big corporate conventions that are like, look at Toy Fair. You have a bunch of like, I mean, that's still kind of fun, but there's also like this air of like, oh, are you a guy that like does news of specific like things or whatever? Okay, come on in, this is all the stuff that we're working on. We're doing quarter 4. It's, the concept sounds fun, but it's actually really boring.
It's a
I,
sale. They're constantly bombarding you with sales pitch.
yeah, it's just sales pitch the con. And I think I have gotten a bit more of a appreciation for local cons now. Although, I still love going to like the huge ones to see like some vendors or whatever, or like if I can get to a panel or whatever, I would like to go to see a panel if I have the time. It's just, these small one weekend cons, they're fun. And, they're good at supporting artists because the people that are running the cons are artists. They're not some big corporate thing. Go ahead, Jenna.
And this isn't to say that conventions haven't tried to promote the artist alley. Oh, they certainly have,
Yeah.
but they fail miserably at it because they almost force a line to appear through the artist alley, but that line leads to a completely separate event. It's like,
Yeah.
that's not how you fix it. That's just a lazy solution to something you don't want to actually fix.
And one thing is that it is a problem, which I would think that John would agree with, is the last Motor City Comic Con that I went to, a lot of the celebrities were like in a area adjacent that you could still access easily. So some people wouldn't even like go into like some of these like booths or whatever for artists or dealers. They were already there for people to access, and you didn't have to go through like a whole line of artists and dealers just to go talk to these celebrities or whatever. You just have instant access to them. So it's not like I don't the last time I went, it's not like I didn't see anybody actually go to the convention and actually interact with artists and stuff, didn't buy stuff. Because some people definitely did. But to your point, it is a lot less. It is very frustrating when you see it in the videos too, in some videos online too, is you get the girl who's a really talented artist, making all these types of like art, fantasy art, ship art, all that kind of fun stuff. And then right across from them is either just like an AI generated like booth and or like somebody's just selling a bunch of drop ship stuff too, which is another frustrating thing. It's just like a
And
bunch.
sorry. And this isn't to say like 3D printed things are inherently like bad or anything. It's like, okay, for example, I
Hey,
have something that's called like a Mint 3D pen.
yeah,
It's kind of like a 3D printer, but it's essentially like it functions like a pen. It functions like a pen mostly,
yeah,
where however you stylize it, that's your style.
yeah,
That's how you do it. It's you're not letting a computer do it for you.
yeah.
You're like it still functions like it uses filament and it squeezes out, but how the thing is created, that's for you to decide.
I'm backing up so I can say this a little bit loud so I don't blow out the mic too much. Although I probably already will. Print actually useful shit. Don't just make freaking bendy dragons or floppy whatever. Don't make the little AI statues or whatever. Print some useful shit. A dice tower. Come on. I already see you selling resin dice that you bought from like another store. Just print a dice tower. It's something useful. Sorry.
Also, they could also print like cosplay pieces or something like
Cosplay
that.
pieces,
Like,
stationaries.
yeah, stationaries.
No,
Which
no.
no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
That's the thing is like I completely agree is you know I feel like that's what I got a 3D printer. I have two now. When I got a 3D printer, I don't necessarily like printing like mass produced stuff, even though I will make stuff to sell. I'm working on some birdhouse doors right now, but that has utility to it. And when I bought it, I wanted to use it for cosplay or making fun little trinkets for myself. And to see people have like three print farms to mass produce like all this extra 20, 30 pounds of, um, all these bendy figures or whatever, or a bunch of other stuff, you know, or, God forbid, if they take an online file of what's the word, a dummy 13 file and sell a file that's essentially free. They sell it for like $30. There's a whole thing around that. look up anything Dummy 13 and somebody's selling it online on Amazon or other stores between like $14 to $70 depending on what's on the thing. The files are completely free online, non-printables. Right now, if you have a 3D printer, you can print one right now. So, yeah, no, it's frustrating. It's frustrating what conventions have become. And we're really not trying to sound like we're bitching like the whole time. We love conventions, or at least we love fandoms. There, especially niche fandoms. There's not all these like grifters coming in, and that's one thing. I think
Oh
if
yeah, me
next
too.
week, next week if we talk, if not next week, what was
In
we'll
two
figure
weeks.
that out in
We'll
two
do it in
weeks.
yeah.
Um, for the next time all three of us are together, yeah, we should definitely talk about like grifting in like infiltrating into like fan spaces and all that kind of stuff. Because it is frustrating. It is frustrating, and I think that's kind of where the to just kind of dip into it is like the frustrating part with AI bros coming in and selling their prints of stuff they just like typed in like on the computer. That's what ruins the artist Sally. So I'm gonna reiterate it again. I'm gonna nail it in the head. Is even though the big ones started as something to promote artists, the artists need to promote themselves. If the big corpos aren't going to promote them, if they're just going to want to promote the robot, the do everything robot while we make all the money, it's it's frustrating. It's frustrating. The passion sometimes I feel is gone
And
from the people who started. No.
this is why, as we're going to get into the next final topic, is local artists have taken things into their own hands and actually like made their own convention, made their own
Exactly.
conventions.
Yes. There is a show called IC3,
Mm.
and it's called Indie Creator Comic Con by Comics Wellspring. And they've also worked with another one called Comic Art Fans, which is also a good show I've heard. So those shows are definitely about the artists. So
Mm-hmm.
basically their line for these shows is a show for creators by creators.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the shows I would support. There was also, I don't know if it already happened or not, but there is a show in Michigan called HobbyCon, which again, that sounds like a show I would actually support. I would actually like to
Mm-hmm.
go to that show because I'm like, oh, it's actually about, again, artists about artists. And it's time that we, as indie artists, indie writers, indie creators, this is our time to rise up. This is our time to take where was our space? This is our space. And whether we take it back or we just let the other ones fall away and say, you know what? We're moving to our own space.
We're doing it
This is what
ourselves.
needs to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Just you have to see where it kind of goes because it is. No, go ahead, Jenna.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, and if anything else, just look up what's in your neighborhood, what's in your area. I mean, just last week, there was a fine arts show, fine arts studio tour around my neighborhood. And there's like artists everywhere. Sure, a lot of them are older than me, but they're still
Mm-hmm.
artists. They're making their own stuff. And it's so cool because it's like they're in your neighborhood. So it's like, I think going to these places is really important because not only are you experiencing unique art, but also knowing what's in your neighborhood, interacting with people who are practically next to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, where the heck did you guys come from, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like, hey, wait,
Where have you
where did you?
been?
Where have you been? Toilet? Toilet? Sorry.
It's like, what hole did you pop out of?
Yeah, no, it's
Or
I
no, or no, it's like, what rock have I been living under?
right. I am still all for the um hopefully this bubble to pop for one thing. I know it's probably probably going to be really slow to happen. But I'm kind of hoping this bubble to pop so, artists can like, just take their stuff back, take the artist Sally back, get it back from dudes that are selling cheap, not even cheap prints. Some of these prints are $60 that they're printing. Sorry, but yeah, no, we definitely artists and fans that actually have passion for it, and not just some like corporate minded person that sees something as a fad, so they're going to follow this fad. The people that actually care about the product, the people that care about the comics, the cosplay, the shows, the movies, the culture of it, need to kind of take it back from the corporations,
And
because that's why it feels like conventions are kind of not dying, but yeah.
but I was, and also not even just supporting, well, yeah, like all, like of course support local artists, but I'm also talking about support niche
Exactly.
conventions. It's like find your niche, find your specific fandom convention, and just stick with it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's kind of hard with like any of the specific fandom conventions that I would like are all in like states I would have to get a plane ticket for, and then
Yeah.
have to stay in like the apartment or the house of like a buddy that lives down there, because knowing some of the fandoms I'm in, you know if I wanted to meet somebody in, say, the tokusatsu fandom, I'm gonna run into three at most. Which is funny because there literally, I think I only ran into one person that was cosplaying a Power Ranger at Motor City Comic Con. It was a Ninja Storm Red Ranger, and it was like he was the only one there. He was the only tokusatsu cosplayer there. So I want, I wish that there was more like fan gatherings for my kind of fandom. I mean, I guess that's a nice thing about being kind of niche. It's definitely frustrating how um we kind of you kind of mentioned this before, is like making things kind of more niche again. Is the less niche it is, the more easier it is to find, which is it's paradoxical. It would be nice for things to be a little bit more niche, but then again, you're kind of running into my problem, is like the only people that are going to go to these type of conventions, the only conventions are probably like either in Pasadena or Dayton or like somewhere in Florida or whatever. So
Or you could just make your own. You can just make your own
yeah,
convention.
I'm
Although,
sorry, I've been swearing a lot. People that have been watching at home, I'm gonna make my own convention with blackjack and hookers.
oh my God. But also another thing as well, something that is also something that should be considered when actually making these local convention or just making any convention is that something that you notice in recent memory, especially with social media,
Mm-hmm.
you tend to see these sorts of they hype up conventions with all of these promises, but then you show up and like nothing. It's
Yeah,
just dead air. It's like,
it's a bit of a nothing burger.
yeah, and I think that just goes to show how and the so much of it is just either like young adults or teens
Yeah,
who think they know how to run a convention, but they just don't.
yeah,
And that's really and I think that's the unfortunate part about that's the hard reality when trying to make a convention is that you actually have to like you actually have to like do something with it instead of just solely solely building it up with hype or something.
I
So
don't.
speaking about conventions and making their own convention, Long time ago, when I was at the library a long time ago, I used to be part of the teen advisory council stuff,
Hmm.
TAC for short. And what happened, what it gave me the idea was I really thought that if the library did an all ages Comic Con, it would succeed. Because what happened was they tried doing it just for the teens and it failed. And I'm like, okay, first, the reason it failed is because you aimed it at one demographic. So
Hmm.
that's your problem there. And two, I was like, well, can't they just do an all ages? So after some hemming and hawing and all that stuff, they actually did CMPL Con.
Hmm.
And the first year they did it was literally the summer I was graduating high school. So it was really nice of how to dip in from like this idea into this. And then it succeeded for like two times. Then unfortunately the whole thing fell apart because the whole COVID thing, that whole spiel.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then when they brought it back, it was like, they could have done a little, you know. It needed some work, is what I'm gonna say. Needs some work. Um, and that's another thing. If you ever do want to start a Comic Con or any sort of convention, talk to someone who has experience. If you talk to the person who has experience and you have the game plan and you go by your game plan, it'll succeed. That's all you gotta
Talk
do.
talk
Do
to
you
an
Yeah,
event
think,
and
coordinator.
do
yeah,
you
and
think,
all sorry.
like, do you think, okay, let me ask you guys this. So the library that I go to is big. It's a big library. It has a nice flight of stairs. Do you think putting the artist alley under the stairs is a good idea?
No!
No,
No,
people are gonna pass it by.
no. I wouldn't have put them there. I would have put them in the auditorium. All you need is 4 rows of tables. Put them in the auditorium. You have two doors to
Hmm.
go in and out.
Hmm.
Bam, call it a day.
I I
I'm
was gonna
coming up with
say
this stuff.
it,
So
it
yeah.
it's okay. It's okay. I like hearing you have a lot more input in things. I know some episodes you don't get a lot of input because I kind of talk over it. Um, for
It
five
just show.
minutes at least. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I was about to say I just have passion for the thing, and I
Oh
didn't want it
no,
to.
me too.
That's all I'm saying.
Me too. Also, for 5 minutes, if you will, let me wax about food pricing at conventions. Don't fucking buy food at conventions. Pack some granola bars, some water bottles, Gatorade, snack bars, whatever. But don't buy food at conventions. You're going to be spending $100 in a 3 day period because they charge at the butt for them. I have to censor that word, but still, if you're going to go to a convention, pack food. If you're going to be on your feet all day, pack a granola bar like you're hiking because you're going to be doing a lot of walking. A lot of people tend to forget that. They don't pack water, they don't pack stuff with electrolytes, carbs, all that kind of stuff. People need to remember don't spend all your extra money on food at conventions because they charge up the butt.
Best way okay, so you pack your water, you pack your lunchable, you pack your granola bar, you pack your fruit snacks, you pack
Hmm.
your cookies, your mini cookies, you pack pack stuff that you know that's
Yeah.
gonna give you energy
Pack a
for the whole
Nutri-Grain for all
day.
I care.
That too.
I don't care if the mug of root beer that they're selling at the root beer mug thing that you see at like state fairs is over there. It's only like $20 for a refillable mug of root beer. It's $20 you could have spent at the artist's alley or could have gotten yourself a cute little trinket or like action figure that like you can only find there instead of online for $300. My voice is cracking, can you tell? I'm quite also very passionate about it because I've seen this happen. The state verification of conventions needs to be studied. I should also say that.
There's probably a study out there somewhere.
But yeah, no, I have noticed from my almost 10 years of doing conventions is that there are some people that don't prepare, and you tend to get people that get dehydrated, they don't eat, they don't do stuff. And when they do want to eat, they go to like some of these booths and it's like $5 for a hot dog. Or, you know, it's it's crazy. The prices are crazy for those who have actually attended conventions. John would at least know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You're better off just packing your own stuff. It might not be a filling meal for a lunch or whatever. They usually pretty much close at 7 or 9 or whatever, so you could probably at least get dinner like right after. But don't pay for lunch or breakfast on the con floor. You just pack something. Go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, something I wanted to highlight, like, or clarify about creating conventions is difficult, and often the people that do it have no idea what they're doing. It's like, but sometimes it's run by companies that are inexperienced at best or malicious and actually like legitimately scams at worst.
Yeah.
So, especially in the time of social media, where we have these like companies and teenagers practically that think that they can like make a convention that easily based off of hype and starter or whatever,
Yeah.
but then they don't actually like they don't understand how funding works, they don't understand how to maintain a convention, and results in a nothing burger attraction. So
Yeah.
if you're going to start a convention or a local convention, please do research and actually, and as Dryw said, contact people who know what they're doing.
Yeah. Get an event coordinator. Also, yeah, you just don't want DashCon 2. And for those who are watching at home, you know what I'm talking. For those who know, I should say, that are watching at home, you know what I'm talking about. Very bad event. You know, we don't need to get into that. So yeah,
Just
I
a last,
waxed for what?
I'm sorry, I was about to say just a last note. We just want to clarify. We love Comic Con.
Mm-hmm.
We especially love indie Comic Con shows. We love the artists. We love the cosplayers. We might like and not like some of the celebrities. Who knows? They might
Mm-hmm.
have a bad day or not. You know, who knows? But we just want to say we really do care about you guys. We don't want to see conventions fail. We just want to see we just want to see things taking their place in the right time,
Yeah.
in the right events.
Yeah.
That's all we're clarifying. So
Yeah.
this is not a we hate Comic Con video. We're just saying we want to see artists and celebrities and vendors in their own spaces. That's all we're asking. That's
Yeah.
all we're asking.
We're so passionate because we actually care.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. I will say, for those that are watching at home, we John's gonna be busy. I have a graduation party next week. My little brother is graduating high school next week. So hey, so we got no, his graduation party's not next week. It's next month. But he's graduating, so I think we're all kind of getting everything kind of together. So otherwise, I think we're gonna be taking next week off too. We're sorry it's a little bit of a light month. I wanted to put some stuff out, but I had my hands heck of full this week with actual like physical work. We know what happens. But I forgot to do it at the start of the video, but I'm going to do it now. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. If anybody wants to help me figure out how to post and other stuff to share, please send me a link or just help me. Um, do all that fun stuff. And yeah, we are M.I.Diverse. We try to stay on topic. We really do, but it's very hard. So please, one more time, do all the fun stuff. Share it to everyone that you know. Help us get our voices out there. Help boost autistic voices. That's one thing we should have said during Autism Month, is that we need autistic voices to be louder. So, thank you guys for watching. I'm Dryw. That's Jenna. and that's John. I don't know if you can see them, but they're both waving. But thank you guys for watching. Goodbye. Ugh.